So, I have sat quietly now for 2 meetings, listened to every Tom, Dick, and Harry in here get up and speak their piece. I've listened to myself be called on to resign, apologize, and every other damn thing. Council, I don't want any interruptions from any of you. I've listened respectfully. I want to say my piece. What we are dealing with here and talking about began in December when I tried to engage with Councilor Abraham, and I'm not engaging with you tonight. I'm just speaking. Don't answer. I wanted to find out what her obsession with the wastewater plant was all about and see if she couldn't back off a ways so that my staff and I could better work with the people at the Environment Department. I am the mayor. I know that bugs hell out of some people, but that's who I am in this situation. When I talk to them people at the Environment Department and they can't figure out who they're dealing with down here, I think I have a right and a responsibility to find out if there's a problem with me asking her to back off a little bit. I have no problem with her seeking her own information, but she shouldn't represent herself as the town. That, of course, led us to World War III at the last meeting with all the negative comments coming in. So I want to speak my piece and see if I can get a little more insight to share with you people to help understand this problem we have. Let's take Councilor Abraham and those comments in that newspaper article. That one there blows my mind. In December, we went over this about her and getting information regarding the status of Edgewood's discharge permit violations in the operation of the wastewater facility. But says the mayor was unresponsive. So, let's see what the mayor and her said. I've got copies of the emails right here. And we come to the morning of November 26, 2018 at 10:32 a.m. from Sherry Abraham at Comcast.net to Mayor Bassett at EdgewoodNM.gov. Good morning, Mayor Bassett. I would like you to send me a copy of the response to the notice of violation dated September the 5th, 2018 from Town of Edgewood and any correspondence from NMED which refers to that notice of violation. I would also like to request the details of the wastewater spill that was mentioned at the November council meeting. So, that evening, November 26th, 6:18 p.m., from Mayor John Bassett to Sherry Abraham at Comcast.net. Councilor Abraham, I have placed the information that you have requested into a yellow manila envelope with your name on it and placed it into the councilor's mailbox located at the far west end of the counter on the north wall of the reception area next to the printer. Please feel free to come by the office and pick it up at your earliest convenience. Then we move to Wednesday, November 28th, 12:48 p.m. This one comes in from Sherry Abraham on her council email. Mayor Bassett, please confirm that you received my request for the response from Town of Edgewood to NMED about the notice of violation. That same day, November 28th, this time 7:18 p.m., from John Bassett, Mayor of Edgewood, NM.gov, to Sherry Abraham. This time I included all the council members, governing body members, and staff members, and I also included in Sherry Abraham at Comcast.net. Councilor Abraham, in response to your inquiry earlier today asking me to confirm receipt of your request for information, which came to me from your town email address, sherryabraham at edgewoodnm.gov, I'm forwarding to you this reply which I sent you on Monday via your personal email address, sherryabraham at comcast.net, from which your request originated. As you can see from my original reply, the information was gathered and placed into a manila envelope and then placed into the mailbox marked Councilors. As noted, the mailbox in question is located in the reception area of the new town hall. Like any normal person in this situation, I hit the reply button in order to respond to the sender from the email address from which it originated. In the future, may I suggest that you confine your many email inquiries to your town-provided email address so that mix-ups like this do not occur and I am not forced to waste precious amounts of my limited free time sorting out your requests and guessing which email address I should direct a reply to. Your cooperation toward this end would be greatly appreciated. Next day, Thursday, November 29th. Mayor Bassett, I would like to request in the future all mail for me be placed in my council box outside the town hall building, as was previously done. Sincerely, Councilor Sherry Abraham. So we communicate. We exchange information. Then the story comes out in the newspaper. Unresponsive. Not unresponsive. Somebody mentioned here a little bit ago about the maids. The maids. February 21st, 2018, Juan Torres informed us that he thought we were probably spending too much money on the maids. Maybe we could do a better job if we had our own in-house help and paid them instead of contracting with the maids. February 23rd, Councilor Abraham launches an investigation. On it goes back and forth, over and around. Come to June 6, 2018, a job description was proposed, and on June 20th, the council, this governing body, approved a job description. At that very moment, her work should have stopped. The council had made a decision. This is a problem we run into frequently with her. She provided us something called 52 Tips for Successful Public Service, some ideas on how to govern better. Number 22 kills her. Once a majority decision of the governing body has been made, respect that official position and defend it if needed, even if you personally disagreed. Time and again, this council, this governing body, will make decisions relating to them wastewater lines, other stuff at the wastewater plant, you name it. When that council speaks and makes that decision, that's it. The end of the line. But not for Councilor Abraham. Time and again, we go back and revisit those old decisions. So I think when I see something like this that says mayor is unresponsive, that's a lie. That's an outright lie. There is nothing else to call it. I have watched my staff prepare thick responses to her. I think in Juan's office, you've got a stack of paper in there maybe that thick, just of the emails. That's not including the attachments that go with them. We have made every effort we can. By law, we cannot refuse. But like I said on the maids, June 20th, a job description was approved. End of discussion. She comes in with an IPA request on June 25th. Then you go along and come up to August 6th, she files a complaint with the Attorney General. In her own complaint says, I got the information, just didn't get it when I wanted it. September 5th, she delivers a big report to us all. And what does she say? Same thing Juan Torres told us in February. We may have spent too much money on the maids. Maybe it'd be better if we didn't. By that time, we had already gone out hunting for somebody to hire and put in that job. So we had a non-issue that had nothing to do with anything being kept alive and stoked for no good reason that I could see, but we had to deal with it, and we have to pay the attorneys to mop up the mess. So the newspaper article, again with the newspaper article. Newspaper article and Mr. Abraham have all implied that little Sherry Abraham's just out there working like, some Cape Crusader or something, trying to ferret out malfeasance and corruption wherever she can find it. That's not the Sherry Abraham I know. This is stuff that I worked on during the Brad Hill administration. This was a simple subdivision thing that happened. We handled this one. It's a simple 2-lot subdivision. We got it done in less than 50 days. When they got in there, they started messing with everything, and they took a same simple little 2-lot subdivision, and it took the people, them Kashats, took them over a year to get that thing completed. I pleaded with, begged them, look into this. This is something stupid here. Never a word out of Sherry Abraham. This one over here is a little more egregious. This is the Markleys down at the Beehive. So they got the big idea back there in 2014 they was going to rewrite the ordinance, right? The zoning and the subdivision. They set out for over 8 months working to revise this zoning ordinance. They spent well north of $30,000, probably 50 to 60. The Markleys came in to set out and do the work on their apartment complex down there, those senior living apartments. They got held up because they found out they needed a zone change. So everybody's wondering, well, what's going on here with this? They actually sat down. They had planned on opening them apartments in the summer of 2015. They put an ad in the Independent, says, opening summer of 2015. They got held up. And it's like, well, what's going on with that? So we got looking into it. I did, because I was on P&Z, and they'd been given, they'd already made a change very early in Brad Hill's administration to allow for multi-use in here so they could hook to the sewer. But when they set out in 2014 to rewrite the zoning ordinance, they grabbed up the wrong one. They spent 8 months and well north of $30,000 rewriting that. So when the Markleys went in to get their apartment job going, they got held up. In fact, they got held up a whole year. People got hurt by that. Incompetence, malfeasance, whatever you want to call it. Here's the sign that finally ended up on the Markley place. Project completion spring 2016. It was up in the summer that they actually got it finally going. Again, I go in. Oh, and look at the big crowd we've got out here every night, the Simons and Mr. McGill and all these. Yep. Where were y'all at then? Nobody's anywhere to be seen. I worked to an empty house. What we discovered on that was they rewrote the wrong ordinance. I pointed that out to Mr. Markley. He went in there and says, what gives? I provided him with the correct copy, and he went in there, chewed their butts out, and got it fixed. This was coming into 2015 and 2016. I was thinking about running maybe for mayor. In fact, I think when I talked to him the last there, I'd already declared. He told me, he says, you know, you ought to run for that. Says, you're the only one in there seems to know what the hell's going on. And I'm the guy on the back row back there. I'm not the clown sitting there with all his stuff and that going on every night like he knows everything. I figured all that out because I was on the P&Z commission and I knew my ass from a hole in the ground. A lot of people didn't, including Councilor Abraham. I begged him, look into this. What the hell's going on here? Nothing. Not a thing. Dead silence. In this one, I begged him. I was going to provide him all this information, serve it up to him on a silver platter. Nothing. Now I'm told she's an avenging angel, out to clear up corruption and make everything right in the world. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't square with the Sherry I know. I begged and pleaded with them. You're making all kinds of errors. And this is only 2 of them. I've got others. Nothing. So now I learn she's an avenging angel. She's out there to sniff out corruption. She just needs a lot of information. By golly, she'll come through for us. She'll ferret it out. This is the stuff, the crap we followed. Juan Torres and I got in office. We laugh about it sometimes, that following that incompetent Hill Abraham administration is like being the guy in the circus that follows the elephants around, picking up crap load after crap load. we've about got it straightened out. And one of the things we inherited was the sewer. So we're going around, we're trying to work on that, trying to get that figured out. Along this last summer here, Councilor Abraham and some of her friends out here, they decided they needed to go visit the sewer. But to this point here, for those of you wondering, can we just find some way, a little effort there? Councilor Abraham has no credibility with me. I tried to work with her as a council member back in the Hill administration, couldn't get anywhere with her. So don't tell me she's this crime fighter now. Not going to believe it. Then there's the double standard. What about that? Ever since I've been in here, there's been a definite double standard applied by her to me. Everything I do has got to be double-checked, triple-checked, and just like with, she brings up at the December meeting, right? We told you not to go to P&Z. I provided them ample evidence of Brad Hill going to P&Z meetings. Didn't mean a thing. I can't do it. Everything with my administration's got to be double-checked, triple-checked. That's not fair. There's nothing that's happened on my watch that's anywhere near this stupid or egregious. And yet, every time I turn around, there's that double standard waiting for me. You need to do this, you ought to do that. We're back to old number 52 here. Time and again, the governing body here will make a decision, and we need to revisit it. One of her favorite whipping boys, of many, has been the sewer line that went in on Cactus in Maine. That one there, that just gnaws at her like nothing else. So she tells everybody now that every dollar that comes into this town should go to fix the conditions of that notice of violation at the sewer plant. So back in 2015, when they got the notice here from the Groundwater Quality Bureau, they had in place money and the notification to fix this stuff, right? Did they fix anything down there? No. They went over to Walker Road and built a collection line. Same thing we've done. Problem is, they had in their hand at that time this notice with the requirements on it, the conditions, they had that, and they had capital outlay money. They didn't use it. So here we end up with a situation of the double standard again. They go out and build collection lines. They don't fix on the wastewater plant. No problem. If you go back and look in the record, you're also going to find that the council didn't vote to do any of that stuff. It was all done administratively, shifting money around by the administration. There's no record in there of anything being done. Everything we've done has been done at meetings and stuff. In August of 2016, Councilor Abraham voted with the other council members to put that project on the ICIP list. It's there plain as day in these minutes. That was after town received several petitions from people that live in that area requesting it. Again, go back to Walker Road, nothing done in the way of a petition. That was just done for giggles, I guess. But again and again, I've had to listen quietly, painfully, to Tappan Mahoney says this and Tappan Mahoney says that. Good old Tappan Mahoney. He knows everything. Tappan Mahoney is the fella that started the rumor and all that. Well, this just being done for the Bassetts. That started on September 20th, 2017. We were in a meeting. He gets up. He's disgruntled. Oh, this is just being done for you. And, of course, Councilor Abraham, she jumps right on board. She's all in with that. So let's see what Tappan Mahoney had to say about it. He submitted we had the request for proposals in December of 2016. He submitted one. The request was for proposals to design that sewer line that she's always screaming about that nobody knows anything about. He put in a proposal. Let me read you what he had to say about Cactus. We are intimately familiar with the planned service area, potential residential and commercial connections, and are prepared. Now, this is in December of 16. Mind you, right now, that job's not finished yet out there. This is December 16. We are prepared to complete engineered drawings for the Church Street service connection and Aspen Line extension to cross Church Street within 2 weeks of being awarded this contract. And the Cactus Road line extension within a month for the area identified on the back of our proposed cover, our proposal cover. Come on over a little bit. And here's another comment about Cactus Road. This is what he said in December of 16. Complete the Cactus Road sewer line extension to provide for immediate access of existing commercial and residential customers, provides the opportunity for the town to initiate the expansion of the reuse system and local broadband services offered in Figure 1 and make improvements to the road surfacing, provided the town has interest and agencies are agreeable. So what happened? How did we go from Tappan, all in favor of it, her voting to put it on the ICIP, and then suddenly it went south? How did it do that? Well, what happened was when the committee got together, ranked and rated the proposals, Dennis Engineering wasn't chosen. And then you can just see the downward as it goes down. Oh, well, he didn't get it. So basically what Tappan Mahoney done was try to extract political revenge on me by bringing up this thing, oh, that's just being done for the Bassetts. She voted to put it on the ICIP, but she jumped on board with him. Yeah, it's just being done for the Bassetts. They're the only beneficiaries of that. There are two petitions that we have that came in from people out there, including her friend Tom Torres. He submitted one asking for that area to be sewered. That's an issue that goes back clear to 2003. That's when Jeremiah Turner and my family, they run that first line under the new interchange there at I-40. And we started right in there. Hey, can you run a line up here toward the fire station, something in there? We've been at that, like I say, a decade and a half. I don't know how long she's been in the country, but our mission to get something done in there and try to make that last remaining quadrant of I-40 useful for development has been going on a long time. Now, she always says she's big pro-development. She ain't on that one. Her idea of pro-development is she's for development everywhere but on the Bassett place. For her, in her mind, you develop Edgewood up and you leave the Bassett place out. You go everywhere else around it. Doesn't make any sense to me, but that's how she looks at the world. Now, there's something else I want to explain to you people that you need to know. In this thing with the Environment Department, there are a number of bureaus that make up this Environment Department. We have had to deal with two of them. One of them is the Construction Programs Bureau. That's where Miss Judy Kale's located at. She's the woman you deal with whenever you have to go get money for construction projects. She's the one that hands out the money. The other one that we've now had to deal with is Groundwater Quality Bureau. Now, these are the people that sent us this thing here, the notice of violation. They're the people that issue the discharge permit, right? So we now have two bureaus we have to deal with and cater to and try to, meet whatever it is they want us to do. Now, why is that important? It's important because in 2016, when I got elected, right, in March, I got into office, and the previous administration already had this PER with Dennis Engineering going to redesign the whole sewer thing. So we went ahead and pushed ahead with that. Went to numerous meetings at Dennis Engineering, met with them, went over everything. We followed them right up to Santa Fe. And where did they go with it? He took us to see Judy Kale at the Construction Programs Bureau. Now, when I hear all the outrage from the posse back there, it turns out maybe Tappan Mahoney should have taken us over to the Groundwater Quality Bureau. Because when you look through here at that 2015 letter, he was copied on that. It's CC'd here. There's Tappan Mahoney, Dennis Engineering. There's Tom Torres, manager of EPCOR. He was CC'd on all that. They all knew about this stuff. So why didn't we get taken to that bureau and we could address those conditions? We weren't. Instead, we got took over to the Construction Programs Bureau, where they were going to ask for $10 million to build us a new sewer plant. Woman over there, she says, no deal. We're not going to do that. We spent money on you. You built that thing. Make it work better. Okay, that's where we have to go then. We wanted to, build a brand new plant, but they said no. What they did tell us was get busy and figure out what's wrong with it and, upgrade it and make it work. So that's where we headed. Now, in all of this stuff, you have a thing here from EPCOR, from Tom Torres. We asked them if they had any information. When we got the notice of violation, we asked them if they knew anything about it or if they dealt with anything to respond to it. And of course, he says no, they didn't have anything to do with it. He finishes up down here. He says, well, if the town had just done what they, Dennis Engineering said in their PER, he wouldn't be having any problems. He does cite the minutes of December 21st, 2016. So again, this is December 2016 when, we're dealing with the RFPs and all that stuff. Tappan Mahoney comes in, speaks to council about the PER, gives us an update on it. He finishes up down here. He feels the PER will be approved with conditions. Conditions will not be with respect to technical. That have to do with the financials and the need for the town to implement the wastewater ordinance. Also here it says the town will also need to show an increase in customer base through connections. Okay, here that is again. You need more customers. You need more effluent from residential. Okay, so we look around and that's, we've got an ICIP and it's got 2 projects on it for increasing the effluent and stuff like that. It's Lower Church Road and Cactus Road, Maine. All been voted on. Again, voted on, and we get the old thing, and once a majority decision been made, respect that official position. So we think, okay, we've got the green light here to go ahead with this. They need a project like that. We've got one. Not quite. Like I say, it goes along up until September of 2017, and then you have Tappan Mahoney come in and say, well, it's just being done for the Bassetts. And then old Sherry, she jumps on board and says, yeah, that's what I think too. It's just for the Bassetts. That's the only one that's going to. So from there on, now we got all the little rumors out there. Well, it's just being done for the Bassetts. No, there's a long history to it that predates all the people that don't know any better. But anyway, we come back to December. And the question I started out with, I'm trying to figure out what in the hell has got her so bound up in this sewer stuff. Doesn't make any sense. Stuff doesn't happen out there just machine gun one after another. It's going to take a little time. We talked to them ladies from the Environment Department. Then the one of them picked up and left. So that's shoved it back now when we're going to hear from them. So, you come with this thing where we're doing something wrong. It's in the newspaper article. How does it finish up? There's only 2 ideas about the council. We are power-driven bullies, or there's corruption, and we are not willing to be transparent. Always with that corruption. Again, doesn't fly with me. I lived through the Hill administration. That was tough. So, again, I couldn't get that night a reasonable explanation from her about why, she's just fascinated with that sewer system. So in the absence of a decent explanation, I have to kind of take my own conclusions. And what I've come up with is pretty basic. Who's the beneficiary of her outlandish statements and behavior? Who stands to gain from it? The answer is EPCOR. EPCOR pops up again and again. And you'll recall, when we had them in here, and they were sending out their little propaganda flyers, what did it say on it? It says Edgewood can't afford to fix the failing wastewater system it has today. It says Edgewood has many pressing needs fixing the failing wastewater system. What failing wastewater system? I've got 2 operators here say it's working as well as it's ever been, but that's what they had to get across to us. There's a failing wastewater system. Again, we go back to the EPCOR stuff. Tom Torres tells us in May of 2017, we'd leave you with a plant in compliance with the permit requirements. Sounded to me like it was working. Of course, then we come along, and when we get the notice of violation, he's not so forthcoming then. It's, well, you should have done what they did in the PER. So it's like, what is going on here? This is getting silly. You just can't make an issue out of nothing. She tried that with the maids, failed miserably. So we come to this one. The answer is EPCOR. It's in their interest to tell everybody the town of Edgewood can't manage its wastewater system. How the hell is it going to manage a water system? So I think what we have here, what we're seeing that's led us to all this, because that wastewater, just can't get enough of it. We come to what is known as a 5th column. I looked it up on Wikipedia, and I want to read to you what a 5th column is. A 5th column is any group of people who undermine a larger group from within, usually in favor of an enemy group or nation. The activities of a 5th column can be overt or clandestine. Forces gathered in secret can mobilize openly to assist an external attack. This term is also extended to organized actions by military personnel. Clandestine 5th column activities can involve acts of sabotage, disinformation, or espionage executed within defense lines by secret sympathizers with an external force. So if any of you have noticed, there's a lot of work on YouTube lately, thanks to Mr. McGill over there. We see this effort being made now to put out a lot of disinformation. And so Sherry Abraham, she's leapt into the thing. She's all in for it. She's got her posse out here every night, and they're mounting a well-funded, very manic effort to discredit me and my administration. They say again and again, if you can't run your wastewater system, how are you going to run a water system? So they're trying to cast doubt about our ability to run the wastewater system and, by extension, the water system. So to you people out there, this is what I'm going to tell you. In the days and weeks to come, we are liable to hear some pretty outlandish claims from them. In the vernacular of our times, it will be heaping helpings of fake news. We at the town will be working to counter the misinformation campaign and provide you citizens with the truth. And I hate to have to be brought to this point here over such a silly issue as the sewer. But remember what Franklin Roosevelt said in his inaugural air in 1933. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. That sewer's working out there. Mike, they're out there every day. They know it's working. Nobody has come along and said, well, it's not working. We got dinged for running the water outside the fence in an emergency situation. But I'm here to tell you that basically when they went out there, Councilor Abraham and her friends, and then they turned us in and got the violation there, I'm here to say that effort backfired on them. The idea was to get us embarrassed, to hit us, oh, you got notice of violation. But what it did was uncover all that stuff from 2015 that the previous incompetent Hill-Abraham administration failed to do anything to address. Well, they did address it. They gave Tappan Mahoney and Dennis Engineering a big task order, amounted in the end to over $200,000. Now, this is in 2015. Juan Torres has shown us the procurement code got passed by the legislature in 2013. Anything over $60,000 has to come to this body for their approval to go out for proposals. That didn't happen. Look in the record. There's nothing there. Council didn't act on it. In December, I asked Councilor Abraham, what'd you do on that? She didn't know nothing about it. That's the way a lot of stuff happened in them days. Just like this stuff right here. Transparency? Transparency, that's a joke. Councilor Abraham used to be on something called economic development. When I got elected, they says, let's get Councilor Abraham pointed back to that economic development. I said, well, what is it? It wasn't P&Z, it wasn't Parks and Rec. You know, we didn't have a class of economic development. I asked them, I said, well, do you all follow the Open Meetings Act? Nope. No, do you publish an agenda? Nope. Do you keep a set of minutes or anything? Does the public come to these meetings? Nope, nope, nope. Huh. So I decided I wasn't going to appoint anything to that because by my definition, if this town sanctions a committee, it's probably going to be meeting under the Open Meetings Act, it's going to publish agendas, and it's going to invite you, the public, in to listen to it. That didn't happen with that. So now I've got them out there screaming and hollering about transparency, transparency. I ask them, where the hell's the transparency then? Oh, well, they don't know anything about that because, per usual, they weren't there in those days. Nowhere to be found. Like I say, I had to play to an empty house nearly every night. You know who my companions were? The police chief and Nicole Maxwell from the Independent. That's who was in there them nights. A lot of crap went down. Nobody was there. I was there. I was doing my little part. Where was anybody else at? Nowhere to be found. And now I hear, well, let's all come together and hug it out, bitch. I don't think I've got that in me. I have seen stuff and been through stuff with that counselor where I couldn't get a damn thing out of her. But now I'm told she's an avenging angel. She's going to be there and she's going to set things right. She's going to root out corruption and incompetence. She wouldn't know corruption and incompetence if it bit her. That's what is here. That's what was going on when I got elected. Like I say to you people, that we're in a much better situation now. I've got honest people here. Everything we've done pretty much has been out front. Some stuff, it just hasn't worked out that way, but no big decisions have been made that the council and governing body haven't acted on. This sewer thing, just sewer. Like I say, I couldn't get a decent answer out of her there regarding what was her fascination with the sewer. So then I'm left, and what I come up with is EPCOR. We genuinely have an effort underway to discredit me, my administration, the town in general. If you can't run your wastewater plant, you can't run the water system. And you see evidence of that on that goofy East Mountain 411 and that goofy other neighborhood next door or whatever they call the damn thing. It's there. They're putting it out there. It's going to pick up. We now have old women calling in wondering if they're going to be rooted out of their house and stuff like that. It's probably going to get worse before it gets better. We will endeavor to provide you the truth and maybe respond at our meetings to some of the crap that we hear out there. And, you know, we're going to do what we can, but it's going to be an uphill battle. Just, you know, hang tough with us. We'll get to the end of it. And like I say, the only thing we've got to fear is fear itself. So with that, I'm done. I'm going to ask for a second while I put this stuff away, and we will resume.